Gana happily finished her breakfast again. I was about to go back to my room to study. At that moment, my phone vibrated. Then it kept vibrating. It was a message from the group chat. In the group chat called Pretty Girls Chat, Song Meng tagged everyone, sisters. The haunted house at Sun Amusement Park. Just added scarier features. Wanna go check it out together? Yang Yuji was the first to respond. Why not? Gongwanru and I happened to be nearby. I had a feeling they forgot there was one more person in the group. Just as I thought that, Song Meng called me out. Hey, Gu Chen, you and Su Muxue should come too. I figured, since staying home is boring anyway, might as well go out and have some fun. I nodded and agreed, sure. Then I went to knock on Su Muxue's door. Su Muxue heard the knock and immediately tensed up. I stood at the door and saw Su Muxue come to open it. The tips of her ears were red, and she smiled brightly. Let's go. Su Muxue, let's go have some fun. Su Muxue and a handsome guy and beautiful girl just stepped into the amusement park and already drew lots of attention from passersby. Song Meng and Yang Yuji had already arrived early. When I saw them, I waved. Today, Meng wanted something exciting. Before entering the haunted house, she suggested, why don't we ride the roller coaster first? I instinctively glanced at Su Muxue. If I remember right, Su Muxue is afraid of heights. When Su Muxue heard the words roller coaster from Song Meng, her heart jumped up in her chest. Noticing my gaze, her pride kicked in, and she coolly tossed back a line. You don't think I'm scared, do you? I raised an eyebrow. Aren't you? This little one so prideful, she'd suffer rather than admit it. I bet even Song Meng and the others still don't know she's afraid of heights, because she hides it so well. I smiled and said, of course not. I'm the one who's a little scared. She heard that and it was like Su Muxue had finally found an excuse. She was about to say, all right then, I'll stay here with you. Then Song Meng chimed in, no worries. Jiu Chun will go up later. You sit next to me, I'll give you courage. I saw Su Muxue's panicked expression. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. For a moment, Su Muxue looked completely dazed. When she came back to herself, she realized I might have seen through her fear. She straightened up in a second, glanced sideways at Song Meng and said coldly, if we're doing it, let's hurry up. Don't waste time. With those long legs of his, he moved gracefully yet swiftly. I didn't even have time to stop him. He was already off to buy the tickets. I quickly followed, to prove he wasn't scared. Su Muxue deliberately sat in the first row, and even pulled me along. Song Meng and Yang Yuji sat in the middle rows. Once the safety bars were fastened, Su Muxue reached out her hand to me, awkwardly saying, if you're scared, you can hold my hand. I looked at Su Muxue with amusement, then placed my hand in his palm. Okay. Thank you. Feeling the warmth in his palm, Su Muxue flinched a little. Then his fingers slowly curled inward, gently holding onto my hand. He even comforted me, if you're scared later, just close your eyes. Hold my hand and you'll be fine. I looked at his pale, sweaty face. Knowing he was the one who was really scared, my heart melted unexpectedly. Clearly, he was scared to death himself, yet still pretended to be strong to comfort me. I thought, maybe that's why I love Su Muxue, and never regret it, even if he's as tsundere as can be, and never admits with words that he cares about me. His actions have always shown how much he does. So, let me just say thank you, Su Muxue. Su Muxue pressed his lips together, the tips of his ears turning red. He softly replied, it's nothing, just a small favor. The three of them sitting in the middle, Song Meng and friends, felt like they'd just been force-fed a few tons of PDA. Liang Yuji smirked. Muxue is definitely in love. Song Meng and Gongwanru exchanged looks. Clearly, they thought it was super obvious. They had grown up together since they were little, and never once had they seen Su Muxue treat any guy this nicely. As soon as the roller coaster started, Su Muxue's heart raced. Immediately, he gripped my hand tight, shut his eyes as tight as he could. Terrified he might scream, his lips were pressed into a thin line. I've always loved thrill rides since I was a kid. Roller coasters don't scare me one bit. Feeling the wind whipping past my ears, I turned to look at Su Muxue. His eyes were tightly shut, lips pressed together, so sensual. I squeezed his hand tighter as the roller coaster rose and fell. Each time we were about to drop from a height, Su Muxue's heart would leap to his throat. By the time the ride ended, Su Muxue was completely drained. His legs felt like jelly. He only managed to stay upright thanks to sheer willpower. After getting off the coaster, Su Muxue was still holding my hand. His face was pale as a sheet. Song Meng Meng and the others were shouting, "That wasn't enough. We have to ride it again." Su Muxue would rather die than go again, but didn't want to seem too cowardly in front of me. As he was silently struggling inside, I gently said to Song Meng Meng, "I'm a little scared. I'll sit this one out." Su Muxue caught that instantly and perked right up. He nonchalantly added, "Since you're so scared, I won't go either. I'll stay with you." That line got a teasing laugh out of Song Meng Meng and the others. Then Su Muxue seemed to remember something and added in embarrassment, "My mom told me to take good care of her. Don't get the wrong idea." His attempt to cover it up just made Su Muxue blush harder. Even his ears were burning red. Terrified I'd figure out what he was really thinking, I had already figured out how he felt. If he wanted to act sooner, I'd play along. "Don't get the wrong idea. Our families are just close friends." When I said that, Su Muxue's mood suddenly shifted. The roller coaster started again, taking away those 3/3 wheels. Song Meng Meng and the others. I looked down at my hand, still being held by Su Muxue. I looked up at him and said, "I'm not scared anymore. You can let go now." "What hand?" He followed my gaze and looked down to see our hands still clasped together. Like he got shocked, Su Muxue immediately let go. We sat on a bench to the side, waiting for Song Meng Meng and the others. Su Muxue stretched out his long legs, leaning lazily against the backrest, trying to recover from the roller coaster aftermath. I pulled out my phone and started chatting with Meng Bin. It seemed like Meng Bin was opening up to me more. I wanted to know what had happened to him. What had changed his personality so much? He was completely different from how he used to be in-game, so I chatted with him for a while. Su Muxue was resting with his eyes closed, but sensed I was being too quiet. He peeked at me with one eye, and unfortunately caught a glimpse of my phone screen. Those two glaring characters, Meng Bin. Su Muxue immediately sat up straight. His perfectly shaped brows furrowed deeply. He suddenly felt annoyed for no reason. "Gu Chen," I turned my head to look at him. My gaze made Su Muxue uncomfortable. He tugged at the corner of his lips and said, "Don't you think you're being a little rude?" I was puzzled. How am I being rude? My face looked confused as I thought about it. Our eyes met, and Su Muxue felt like his heart had been zapped. He quickly turned away. Mumbling, he said, "I'm sitting right next to you. We're at least friends. Yet you're ignoring your friend, just glued to your phone chatting. Is that polite to you?" I suddenly felt wronged. I was just chatting on my phone. It was just because the wait was boring and Su Muxue had his eyes closed, resting. But I hadn't forgotten my mission: to spoil Su Muxue and see how long he could stay sooner before admitting he liked me. So I quickly put my phone away and sincerely said, "Sorry about that. It won't happen again." Su Muxue froze and didn't say a word. I patted his head and asked, "Are you mad?" He couldn't stand my affectionate gaze. He coughed a few times and grumbled. The roller coaster stopped. "Let's go. Let's hit the haunted house." Before entering the haunted house, I put on a nervous expression, pretending to be scared. "Su Muxue, I think I'm scared of ghosts." Su Muxue was about to say, "Then let's not go." But I didn't give him the chance to finish. Looking at him, I added, "But I really want to try it." Su Muxue hesitated for a moment, then silently reached out his hand, tentatively asking, "Should I hold your hand?" Mission accomplished. I grinned proudly, grabbed his hand and said, "Thank you, Su Muxue." Su Muxue. His heart started racing uncontrollably again. We had originally planned to go in as a group of 5, but Song Meng Meng and Yang Yuji couldn't handle the PDA anymore and went into the haunted house first. Gong Wanru was at the back. Su Muxue and I walked hand in hand together. Not long after, Gong Wanru disappeared too. Inside the haunted house, it was pitch black, so Su Muxue couldn't see how happy I was grinning. Suddenly, something popped out behind me. My instinctive reaction was to kick out full force. Then I remembered this is the haunted house. It's probably just a staff member, so I held back the urge to lash out. Then screamed and threw myself into Su Muxue's arms. As expected, the figure behind me was a staff member, dressed as a brainless ghost. When I suddenly hugged Su Muxue, His whole body stiffened. He was so nervous he forgot to react. After a moment, Su Muxue finally remembered to comfort me, but he didn't know where to place his open arms. He awkwardly patted my shoulder. His voice was several times gentler than usual as he said, "Don't be scared. I'm here." I smiled smugly and hugged his arm a little tighter. Pretending to be terrified, I said, "Su Muxue, this is so scary. Good thing you're with me." It was too dark to see my expression. Su Muxue lowered his voice and comforted me, "Then stay behind me. Stick close." I smiled even more smugly, grabbed his hand again, interlocked our fingers, and kept walking forward, because I'd acted so well earlier. Whenever another ghost jumped out, Su Muxue would quickly pull me into his arms. Once we got out of the haunted house, I saw Su Muxue's face, blushing in an incredibly unnatural shade of red. I was completely stunned. Song Mengmeng, Yang Yuji, and Gong Wanru had already been waiting at the exit. Seeing how red Su Muxue's face was, the three of them immediately burst out laughing. Song Mengmeng even pointed at him and shouted, "Damn, Muxue, why is your face so red?" During pay class, Su Muxue sat beside the school flower bed, resting his chin on one hand. Every now and then, he glanced at a group of boys playing basketball. It had been 2 days since the haunted house trip over the weekend, and Su Muxue still couldn't look me in the eyes. Ever since we left the haunted house, his face had been so red it could bleed. When Song Mengmeng teased him, he practically exploded. Out of embarrassment and anger, he shouted defensively, "Who's blushing because of Gu Chen?" It was just a hug. At that moment, he was flustered, and out of the corner of his eye, he saw my surprised and conflicted expression. Thinking of that moment, Su Muxue let out a long, frustrated sigh. Just as he was zoning out, Song Mengmeng patted him on the shoulder, walked over teasing, still staring. "Your eyes are about to fall out. Is it really that hard to admit you like Gu Chen?" Hearing that, Su Muxue looked away and abruptly stood up. Flustered, he shouted, "Who likes him? Ridiculous." Then he left Song Mengmeng behind and stormed off toward the classroom. Although I was playing basketball, I still stole a few glances at Su Muxue, intentionally or not. His voice had been loud just now. I heard everything. Judging by his embarrassed reaction, I figured that him Su Muxue mentioned was probably me. What a cute little tsundere. I gave a soft chuckle, handed the basketball to one of the other boys, and walked over to Song Mengmeng. The other guys had also heard Su Muxue's outburst. Among them, class rep Liu cared the most. His desk mate knew about Liu's feelings for Su Muxue. Trying to stir the pot, he nudged Liu. "Do you think the person Su Muxue mentioned was actually Gu Chen? If it is, then it means Gu Chen isn't anything special. Even if their childhood betrothed, Su Muxue still doesn't like him." Liu narrowed his eyes, gazing straight at me, then coldly said, "Who Su Muxue likes is none of my business. But if it's not me, it won't be Gu Chen either." Li Chang'an grinned. "You never know. If your attitude is positive enough, Su Muxue might be moved eventually." Liu sneered coldly. "Then I've got no chance. Gu Chen's already trying hard enough, and he's handsome too. With someone like that in front of Su Muxue, how is she supposed to notice anyone else?" Li Chang'an shrugged. "Sure, Gu Chen is handsome, but his grades might not be great. He transferred from a small town. Su Muxue is the top student in our entire grade. She's definitely going to the best university in the future. You're also in the top 5 of our class. Getting into the same university as Su Muxue won't be hard. How long can a student relationship really last? If you're not at the same school, it's basically long distance." Li Chang'an still wanted to say more. Liu cut him off. "Enough. Stop talking. This has nothing to do with me." Meanwhile, Song Mengmeng and I got to the point. Song Mengmeng asked bluntly, "You like Muxue, don't you?" I just smiled silently. I didn't answer the question. Seeing me silent, Song Mengmeng suddenly grew very anxious. "You're not playing with Muxue, right? Get a grip. She can't handle someone like you." Her nervous expression made me laugh. I burst out laughing, and in that laughter, Song Mengmeng heard my affirmation. "No kidding. I like her," I said, and Mengmeng froze. At that moment, Su Muxue was standing by the hallway outside the classroom, her hands resting on the railing, her eyes on my smiling face. Charming yet distant. She found my smile particularly irritating. I admitted to Song Mengmeng, to prevent any misunderstandings that might cause her to block me from getting close to Muxue. But right now, I don't want Su Muxue to know that I like her. After finally stopping my laughter, I put on a serious face. I told Song Mengmeng seriously, "What I told you, you have to keep it a secret." Song Mengmeng casually reached out her fist. I bumped it lightly, reassured. Meanwhile, in the hallway, a girl's slender hand gripped the railing tightly, her chest full of frustration. She didn't want to look anymore, so she turned and walked back to the classroom. After chatting with Song Mengmeng, I ran to the store to get Su Muxue a bottle of iced mineral water. When I came back to class, Su Muxue was napping on the desk. I sat down next to her. Originally, I didn't plan to wake her. But Su Muxue couldn't stay still. When he realized it was me entering the classroom, he suddenly got nervous. When I sat down next to him, that feeling grew even stronger. Even his eyelashes couldn't stop trembling. I happened to notice it, and felt the urge to tease him. I gently pressed the water bottle to his cheek. His burning face jolted from the cold. He slowly opened his eyes, putting on a dazed, relaxed expression. In a soft voice, he asked, "What are you doing?" I gently shook the bottle in front of him. "Bought you some mineral water. Want it?" While speaking, I stared intently at Su Muxue. He instantly blushed, but couldn't stop the corners of his mouth from rising. He took the bottle and softly said, "Thanks," then turned away to take a sip. Suddenly, Su Muxue handed me a notebook. It was a summary he had made of important points. I just stared at him, not reaching out to take it. Su Muxue looked puzzled, but his eyes were questioning. Something flashed in his mind. Suddenly, his eyes widened. He overreacted and stood up, trying to take the notebook back. I grabbed it and asked, "What's wrong? Why are you reacting like this?" Su Muxue's eyes darted around, avoiding my gaze. After a moment of silence, he came up with a reason. "Can you throw it away for me? I don't want it anymore." I never expected Su Muxue would go this far. So I just said outright, "It's for you." "Can it be?" I internally rolled my eyes, but outwardly my grin grew mischievous. Smiling, I said, "Why throw out a brand new notebook? Just give it to me." Su Muxue got momentarily distracted by my smile. Before thinking it through, he blurted it out. "Okay." I smoothly took the notebook from his hand. "Thanks." I opened the notebook. The handwriting inside was familiar. Su Muxue had already given me one before. It highlighted key points. This one was rewritten. Compared to the last one, this notebook is more detailed, and it covers all subjects. Su Muxue watched me reading it, heart pounding like a tank, but his face stayed calm and indifferent. It was just a book of key topics being read, but it felt like someone was reading his personal diary. Afraid I'd see through his intentions, and also afraid I wouldn't. While Su Muxue was lost in thought, my low voice said, "Thank you, Su Muxue." Su Muxue awkwardly rubbed his nose and mumbled, "You don't have to thank me or anything. I was going to throw it away anyway. I don't need it. If you want it, take it. Might be useful for you. Spend more time reviewing it. Better read more books, and talk less with others." Seeing how uncomfortable Su Muxue looked made me want to tease him even more. I slowly leaned in close to him. Su Muxue noticed my approach, and his heart began racing nervously. He immediately sat up straight, eyes fixed forward, not daring to glance at me. I saw him nervously swallow. I couldn't help but smile. Su Muxue clenched his hands as I leaned toward his ear. In a husky voice, I said, "Su Muxue, these questions help me a lot." "Thank you. You're really kind." Su Muxue suddenly pulled away from me, stammering, "If it helps, that's good. No need to thank me. It's something I didn't need anyway," he said, then took a deep breath, as if gasping for air. "Excuse me, I need to go to the bathroom." I moved aside for him, smiling as I watched him flee in a panic. The next day, the monthly exam arrived as scheduled. Feeling guilty, Su Muxue went to school early. On his own, I rode my bike to school. On the way, I ran into Lin Haoshan, the guy who once cornered me in the bathroom because of Su Muxue wanting to teach me a lesson. I don't know what Su Muxue did to him. I just know Lin Haoshan never bothered me again. That day, Lin Haoshan was cornered in an alley by several men. The one leading them was a familiar face, Giju 79. I narrowed my eyes and stopped my bicycle. Lin Haoshan clutched his backpack to his chest and stared warily at 79. His legs trembled uncontrollably from fear. Brother Ju, please let me go. 79 sneered coldly. Let you go? Who's going to pay me back then? I don't think you want to die. So, just come with me quietly. As long as your sister has a conscience, she show up for you. Lin Haoshan looked miserable, his body trembling as he begged. Brother Ju, please let me go. I really don't know where my sister is. That sentence seemed to enrage 79. His face twisted with anger. He tossed his cigarette to the ground. So you want the hard way, huh? He raised his hand, ready to signal his men to grab him. I casually said, long time no see. 79, you've really grown, huh? To 79, that voice was like a nightmare. His eyes widened instantly. Damn, where did this guy come from? He still vividly remembered the beating he took last time. The trauma remained. 79 still had a mental scar from it. Lin Haoshan looked at me with surprise and joy. He remembered how good I was at fighting. It was like grabbing onto a lifeline. Jiu Cheng, help me. He thought there would be a brutal fight, but the result surprised Lin Haoshan. 79 turned around and shouted like a sycophant, Jiu Cheng, it's you. Is he your classmate? Big misunderstanding, big misunderstanding. We'll leave right away. Leaving right now. Lin Haoshan stood there dumbfounded. Damn, 79 actually knows Jiu Cheng. And he's afraid of him? He even called him Brother Jiu. Oh God, back then he had no idea just how dangerous the person he messed with was, but no one paid attention to his shock. 79 shuffled awkwardly, trying to sneak past me. I reached out and blocked his path. 79 gave me a pitiful look. Brother Jiu Cheng, I was really wrong. Please forgive me. In terms of fighting, he's no match for me. And in terms of connections, he's nothing compared to my little girlfriend, Su Muxue. I reassured him. Relax. I won't hit you this time. 79 instantly revived, grinning ear to ear. He hadn't even gotten his flattery out when I said, just obediently go to the police station with the officers. I just called the cops. I didn't want 79 to escape, and sure enough, he couldn't. The police took Lin Haoshan, 79, and the others away. Only then did I rush to school. The first exam was Chinese. Most of the time had already passed. Luckily, it was only a school monthly test. Even though I was really late, the teacher didn't make things difficult for me. I answered quickly, but there's only so much speed can do. When time was up, I had just finished the essay. The section below the topic was still blank. Though it was just a monthly test, the rules were strict. Students from different classes took the exam separately, so Su Muxue and I were not in the same classroom, which meant he didn't know I was late. After the test, I went to the restroom. While washing my hands, I ran into Su Chengjing and Li Yu from our class. The two of them were discussing the exam questions. Out of courtesy, I smiled and greeted them. I like spinning pens, so I had quite a few pen marks on my hand. After greeting them, I lowered my head and carefully scrubbed the marks. I kept my head slightly bowed. Loose strands of hair swayed gently in front of my eyes. Su Chengjing and Li Yu instinctively glanced at me. I had just transferred and was already dubbed the new school heartthrob. Undeniably handsome and flawless. Able to steal attention in an instant, without doing anything. Just standing nearby could make other guys jealous enough to self-sabotage. Even extreme pettiness couldn't take root. Su Muxue had great grades and was good-looking. She wasn't just beautiful. Li Chengjing liked her. And so did Li Yu. But Li Chengjing hit it better. He casually brought up a topic. This monthly exam. The teachers really went overboard with the questions. I couldn't solve a bunch of them. Li Yu, not sure of his intent, agreed. Yeah, it was pretty tough. Then Li Chengjing gossiped. Oh right, Jiu Cheng. How did you do on the test? I finally finished scrubbing the pen marks off my hand and let out a relieved smile. I turned to Li Chengjing. What did you just say? Li Chengjing awkwardly repeated. This test was really difficult. Just curious how you did. I politely replied. It was okay. I'm just afraid of really basic questions. As for the exam itself, For someone like me with 2 PhDs, it was average at best. I was merely a classmate to them. We didn't have much of a connection. So after a few words, I left first. After I walked off, Li Changying muttered under his breath. Not sure if his okay really means okay. Li replied with reason. Linzhong's academic pace is something most other schools can't keep up with. Even if Gu Chen isn't that good, it's not that surprising. Environment matters a lot. If you've grown up studying in some small remote town, you might not keep up with Linzhong's pace either. Even if Gu Chen's grades aren't great, you don't have to act superior. Everyone starts differently. Li Changying looked awkward after hearing Li Yu's words. After the exam, we got time off. Song Mengmeng and Su Muxue invited me to play games. How could I possibly refuse? We were meeting up with the Four Musketeers again, but this time, Gong Wanru had a stomachache. She came along, but didn't play any games. She just rested in the lounge. With one person missing, I happened to see a message from Mengbin. Smiling, I asked Su Muxue, "Can I invite a friend?" Su Muxue thought I was going to call that mystery person. She was about to say no, but that full Song Mengmeng said, "Sure. Gu Cheng's friends must also be really good. Bring them in." So I invited him into the game. Su Muxue looked speechless, treating me like I was invisible the entire time. So I ended up talking to Song Mengmeng through him. It reminded me of the day when I had that conversation with Song Mengmeng. Muxue's face was tight with tension, a gloomy aura all around her, but no one noticed. Once the game started, Su Muxue grew even more annoyed, because I was chatting on QQ voice with someone on the opposing team, and that person was Mengbin. We were in perfect sync, like we teamed up countless times. Su Muxue couldn't help but think about how I once said someone taught me how to play games. She suspected that person was Mengbin. Su Muxue kept a cold, stiff face the whole time. She went all out in the match and ended up winning MVP. Nice one, Muxue. You did great today. Song Mengmeng took off her headset and said, "Let's go get some barbecue." Yang Yuji thought it was a great idea, but guessed someone wouldn't be in the mood. I was still talking with Mengbin. Not sure what he said, but all Su Muxue could hear was my deep, magnetic laughter echoing in her ears. She suddenly felt irritated. She didn't want to hear another second of me chatting with Mengbin. With a whoosh, she stood up, ready to leave. He was making too much noise. I found it hard not to notice. I looked up at him in confusion. Su Muxue, where are you going? Being gazed at with those affectionate eyes, Su Muxue would always mistakenly think Gu Chen liked him. But the reality he suppressed was far from that. A wave of grievance rose in his heart for no reason. He lowered his eyes to look at me. Song Mengmeng said, "Let's go eat barbecue. Are you going or not?" I let out a soft hum, then turned to talk to Mengbin. Su Muxue was nearly furious. Luckily, what I said quickly calmed him down. "Mengbin, something came up. I'll talk to you later." I hung up the phone. I asked Su Muxue, "Do you want to go?" Su Muxue glanced at me. "I'm asking you." "Why ask me?" I answered naturally. "Because if you go, I'll go. If you go, I'll go." Su Muxue froze slightly. His lips parted, a look of surprise in his eyes. Digesting what I just said, the explosive emotion in Su Muxue, like a fireball, was miraculously calmed. He even looked a little happy. The slight curve of his lips was the best proof. He tried hard to suppress the smile. "Then let's go." He turned and walked away without looking back. Before leaving, he didn't forget to carry my backpack. The sound of the door reminded everyone in the room. Su Muxue had already gone out. After a moment, I asked Song Mengmeng, "Was he smiling just now?" Song Mengmeng shrugged. "Not obviously, I guess." Yang Yuji added, "I think more accurately, he turned grief and anger into happiness." As for the reason for the change, maybe it's because he saw me and swallowed the explanation and gave a mischievous smile. Probably just his Tinder nature. I recalled what he said earlier and instantly understood I'd accidentally teased him again. Looks like I need to keep working harder. At the BBQ restaurant, before ordering, Su Muxue specifically asked what I like to eat. He took very good care of me. Song Mengmeng ordered crayfish. I remember that's Su Muxue's favorite. But Su Muxue finds it too troublesome to peel them, so he just doesn't bother eating. But right now, he doesn't seem to know that about himself. So I casually asked out of curiosity. Su Muxue, you don't eat crayfish. It's not that he doesn't like it, he's just too lazy to peel the shells. As I hoped, Song Mengmeng gave me the answer. Yang Yuji, that sly fox, had long seen through that I like Su Muxue. He gave a knowing smile. If someone peels them for him, he'll eat them. I really wanted to give Yang Yuji a thumbs up. Full squad support. Awesome. Su Muxue never thought much of this before. Given their family background, they wouldn't normally eat street barbecue. But since Song Mengmeng took everyone out for a fun night once, they've all become regulars at this BBQ spot. But now, saying this in front of me, Su Muxue suddenly panicked. It made him sound exactly like a spoiled woman who can't take care of herself. He rushed to explain, don't listen to their nonsense. I'm not waiting for someone to peel them for me. I just don't feel like eating them right now. I put on a pair of disposable gloves. It's fine. I can peel them for you. I picked up a shrimp and started peeling. Su Muxue was stunned. He saw Song Mengmeng and Yang Yuji smiling at him. Su Muxue softly clicked his tongue, smirking proudly, thanks. When I said I'd spoil Su Muxue to the skies, I wasn't joking. If I don't make him unable to live without me, how will I get him to chase me first? How will I make him obsessed with me? Women hold grudges. So I peeled one and held it up to his mouth. Open up. The gesture was overly intimate, but I seemed completely unaware. Still wearing that bright and innocent smile, and yet it's that very smile that drives others absolutely wild inside. Su Muxue was flustered. His heart was racing fast. Damn, who could possibly resist this? Su Muxue was like a puppet. Mind blank. Just following every command I gave. I said, open your mouth, and he obediently opened it. Completely out of control, I fed him over a dozen pieces of shrimp. Su Muxue's little face flushed red. He touched his burning cheeks. He seriously suspected he'd been given the female lead script. Though I wanted to flirt with Su Muxue, my desire to treat him well came from the heart. Su Muxue was getting spoiled and starting to float. He even began wondering if I liked him. His chest filled with emotions, like it was brimming with honey. As a thank you for carrying my bag, Su Muxue silently put on disposable gloves and did what he feared most, peeling shrimp. He placed the peeled shrimp into my bowl. Song Mengmeng and Yang Yuji felt like single people were sinners. They didn't belong in the scene. I paused my movements and threw my gloves in the trash, quietly waited for Su Muxue to serve me. He peeled one. I ate one. Every time I ate one, I praised him. Su Muxue, the shrimp, you peeled it so perfectly. Su Muxue, you're so fast at this. So tasty. No wonder you like them. A surprised smile and genuine praise completely sent Su Muxue floating in the clouds, as if he wasn't just peeling shrimp, but handling national affairs. Something utterly trivial suddenly became grand and serious. So he kept his face tight with focus, peeling and peeling till his hands were sore. By the time my bowl was full of shrimp meat, he finally stopped and looked up. He met the gazes from Yang Yuji and Song Mengmeng. Afraid they might say something I shouldn't hear, he blurted out, don't be jealous of me. My mom told me to take good care of her. Such a tsundere. Hearing that, I just wanted to roll my eyes at him. Yang Yuji and Song Mengmeng looked like they wanted to shove the shrimp into his mouth, so he'd stop talking. There was no chance for the mood to turn awkward or fall into silence, because I immediately smiled playfully and said, Su Muxue, so you're really that obedient to your mom? That makes you a mama's girl, huh? Su Muxue froze. Mama's girl? Damn, a mama's girl. He turned stiffly to look at me, only to see me smiling so brightly and confidently, as if I were teasing. So this is the kind of person you are, huh? No, I'm not. He had the explanation right on his lips, but he couldn't figure out how to begin if he denied it. Everything he'd ever said using his mom as an excuse really did sound like a mama's girl. He hesitated, feeling nervous inside. I couldn't help laughing. I'm just joking. Don't take it seriously. Honestly, that explanation didn't help at all. Su Muxue was done. His good mood was instantly ruined by this silly misunderstanding. He was sulking. The other three were actually enjoying it. There was a tacit understanding between me and them. We all lowered our heads, stifling laughter. Thankfully, Song Mengmeng quickly changed the subject. Oh right, the test this time was super hard. How did you do? Facing Song Mengmeng, Yang Yuji, and Su Muxue, I didn't bother being modest. Pretty well, I said confidently. Song Mengmeng liked my confidence. Nice. That's good. Even if it didn't go well, it's okay. If this time wasn't great, just work harder next time. Muxue's really good at studying. If you don't understand something, just ask him. I will. Thanks. The group kept chatting for a while, and ate quite a bit more. Only Su Muxue looked weighed down, his face full of gloom. Why did he feel so heavy? Because he now carried the title of Mama's girl. And in my eyes, no less. I didn't expect that one comment would hit Su Muxue so hard. So much so that the entire next day, I witnessed him doing everything he could to shake off that title. During breakfast, Mama Su called out, "Zhao, help Mom get a bottle of milk from the kitchen." Su Muxue, slowly and lazily, "No time, get it yourself." Mama Su was stunned. Then she crossed her arms and snapped, Well, Su Muxue, I raised you this big, and now your wings are stiff. You don't listen anymore, huh?" After breakfast, Mama Su was heading out. "Zhao, how do you think this dress looks on me?" Su Muxue, expressionless, replied coldly. Mama Su was nearly driven to despair. She bent down, took off a shoe, and threw it straight at the back of his head. "How did I give birth to a blockhead like you?" After getting facials with her friends, Mama Su came home glowing, radiant and refreshed. She asked Su Muxue, "Zhao, don't you think Mom looks prettier?" Su Muxue leaned in close to Mama Su, his face tense as he reached a conclusion. "Mom, you have crow's feet now." "Muxue," Mama Su roared. When Papa Su came home, Mama Su clung to him and began complaining. Endless grievances. Papa Su, face calm, his aura not even slightly disturbed, quietly said, "Su Muxue, go kneel in the courtyard." Su Muxue's expression remained calm, no resistance at all. He knelt in the courtyard, staring at the sky, and thought, this has nothing to do with being a mama's girl anymore, right? Gu Chen probably wouldn't mistake him for a mama's girl anymore. Girls are soft-hearted. She had watched idol dramas with her cousin. In those, when the male lead knelt, it always rained heavily when he was being punished. It made him look especially pitiful. The female lead would always feel super sorry for him. It always worked on her, but all he saw was a perfectly clear sky. His skin was slightly sunburned. I'd held back my laughter all day, seeing Su Muxue kneeling pitifully under the sun. I walked over smiling. I teased him knowingly, "Su Muxue, why are you going against Aunt Su all day today?" Su Muxue had waited all day, just to hear that one sentence. He looked lazy, shrugging like it didn't matter, nothing. "I'm always like this." His sooner expression and delicate features were unbearably cute. I hadn't expected that with an adult's perspective. Looking at Su Muxue like this, I'd find him so interesting. His soonerness wasn't annoying. I said, "About what I said yesterday." Su Muxue's ears twitched. His joy showed instantly. "What did you say?" I walked from his side to face him directly. I leaned down, face to face with him. "I said you were like a mama's girl yesterday. Sorry." At last, the storm had passed. Su Muxue struggled to suppress the joy inside him. "Oh, it's no big deal. I think you're like a secret." Su Muxue was speechless again. It hit him like lightning. He was scorched inside and out. His expression was so stiff it looked twisted. I laughed, and in my deep black eyes, he saw his twisted reflection. His lips went numb. He'd suffered rejection all day, kneeling for hours. Su Muxue's face was burning. The next morning, he was surprised to find that his reflection was a few shades darker, and his skin was peeling, beauty filters gone for good. Su Muxue clutched his face in horror. "It's over." I came back from my morning run, and suddenly felt an intense gaze on me. I turned to look. There was a girl on the sofa, all in black clothes and pants, with a black face mask and dark under-eye circles. She sunk into the black sofa, almost blending into it. I hesitantly called out, "Su Muxue?" I walked toward him. "What's wrong?" Su Muxue glanced up, saw my flawless face, and silently pulled his mask a little higher. In a low voice, he said, "Caught a cold." Hearing that, I felt a bit concerned. I stepped closer to him and reached out to touch his forehead. Su Muxue quickly grabbed my wrist, reacting with lightning speed. "What are you doing?" "I'm checking if you have a fever." "It's so hot, why are you bundled up like that?" From my angle, All I could see was his cold appearance behind sunglasses. What I didn't see was how panicked his eyes were under the lenses. No, I can't let Gu Chen see me like this. He'll totally laugh at me, so he tightened his grip on my wrist, refusing to let me go. So I simply reached with my other hand. "Stop that," Su Muxue shouted while pulling at me. He grabbed at me, not sure how he used so much force. But he yanked me down, and the two of us ended up falling onto the sofa. The atmosphere instantly turned ambiguous. Su Muxue's palms were sweating from nerves. As for me, I stared at his forehead, now exposed without his bangs. Dark and peeling, Su Muxue was flustered while I held back laughter. Now I understood why he dressed like that. Realizing he wasn't actually sick, my mischievous side kicked in. I leaned in and whispered in his ear, "Su Muxue, your heart is beating so fast." Su Muxue's heart was pounding like crazy. In his palm were my slender fingers. Right in front of him were her bright, clear eyes. Su Muxue was so nervous, his heart jumped into his throat. How could someone who made me fall in love at first sight not be attractive to me now? That girl so close to him, her eyes bright and clear, reflected his image as she pinned him down. He could clearly hear the chaotic sound of his own heartbeat. I couldn't help thinking of our past life, the intimate history I shared with Su Muxue. Those soft arms of hers used to hold me so tightly. The way she looked at me then was very similar to now. Except back then, she had the charm of a more mature woman. The Su Muxue now still couldn't hide his emotions very well. He was as pure as a blank sheet of paper. My mind drifted. I was filled with totally inappropriate thoughts. But then I looked at Su Muxue's innocent face and suddenly felt like a total creep, even though we were both over 80 now. Su Muxue still had such a pure mind. It made me feel like the pervy one. I coughed awkwardly and turned away. "Sorry, I crushed you." I started to get up. Su Muxue's flustered thought snapped back to reality. He instantly let go of my hand. "I'm the one who should apologize. If I hadn't pulled you, you wouldn't have fallen. We were the only two in the living room." Su Muxue quietly pulled his mask up again to hide his peeling face. My cheeks were burning because of the things I'd been imagining. I didn't want Su Muxue to see me blushing. So I made up an excuse and ran out. In this life, I only really had Mangbin as a friend. Without thinking, I messaged him to meet up and hang out. We sat together at a milk tea shop. I poked the straw into my cup repeatedly, totally distracted. Mangbin raised an eyebrow. "You've got something on your mind." I touched my face. "That obvious, huh? You actually noticed?" Mangbin leaned back in his chair, holding a cup of coffee in his hand, and nodded seriously. "You might as well write it on your face." I scratched my head awkwardly. "It's not exactly something new. It's just that something happened just now." I realized I was actually clinging to his body. Theft Mangbin spat out the coffee in his mouth. "Are you okay?" I quickly grabbed a tissue and handed it to Mangbin to wipe his clothes. I knew Mangbin was a guy, because he's just a pretty. People often mistake him for a girl. I didn't think too much of it, and Mangbin certainly wouldn't either. But onlookers wouldn't think that way. Liu and Li Chengjing were standing at the entrance of the milk tea shop. The two of them stared inside at the beautiful boy and girl, their gestures graceful. Li Chengjing wasn't entirely sure and asked Liu, "Is that Gu Chen?" Liu frowned. That handsome face of Gu Chen's isn't easy to mistake. If it's not Gu Chen, who else could it be? Didn't he like Su Muxue? He was always so close to her. What's he doing now? Mangbin was wearing a white t-shirt. After I wiped it clean, there were still visible stains on it. I felt a little guilty. "Looks like I have to go buy clothes with you." Mangbin didn't care much. "No need to buy more. I have a lot of clothes. I'll just change at home." What he really cared about was what I said earlier. "Who?" he asked me bluntly. "Who exactly were you clinging to just now?" Bringing it up again, I didn't mind sharing it with Mangbin. He laughed with squinted eyes. I whispered to Mangbin it was Su Muxue. But he's still too innocent right now. I just felt it was kind of indecent of me to think of her body at that moment. Mangbin knew who Su Muxue was. That day when he lit up at me, anyone could tell he liked me. He smiled with warmth in his eyes. That's what a true friend feels like. Mangbing only shows that kind of smile when he's with me. He even had the mood to joke around. My pleasure. The mutual appreciation between two young boys appeared to have different implications in others' eyes. Lee Changin looked at the photo he had taken on his phone and mocked. Being handsome really is an advantage. He's not only got Su Muxue wrapped around his finger, he's even flirting with the school beauty from No. 1 High. Lee saw him taking photos, but he didn't stop him. He liked Su Muxue. It was a secret crush buried deep inside. He just didn't want Su Muxue to be deceived. Su Muxue was still fluttering inside because of the moment in the living room when she received a message from Song Mangmang. There were only 2 photos. One was Mangbing whispering something in my ear, while I smiled from ear to ear. The other was the reverse. I was whispering into Mangbing's ear. A faint smile curved his lips. Laughter glimmered in his eyes. Both photos, no matter which one, clearly showed how close the two of us were. These weren't misleading shots, because Mangbing's hand was resting on my shoulder. Su Muxue's dark eyes stared intently at the photos on her phone. She closed her phone without a word. The photos were posted by Lee Changin on his moments. They seemed harmless. The caption read, No. 1 High School Tyrant versus Forest High School Belle. So, well matched. Song Mangmang saw it and casually saved it, then sent it to Su Muxue. When I returned to the Su family's villa area, I saw Su Muxue drenched in sweat. He was alone. His small face was tense, expressionless. He looked quite cold and distant, like he was in a bad mood. I saw his face dripping with sweat. Even his hair was soaked. His breathing was also heavy. I guessed he had just gone for a run. Su Muxue, I called out as I approached. His body stiffened for a moment. He ignored me and walked away. This time, I was certain he was in a bad mood. As he brushed past me, I grabbed his wrist. Su Muxue, what's wrong? My tone was full of concern, and the gesture, intimate. Su Muxue lowered his head, glanced at the wrist I was holding tightly. His beauty dimmed. When he looked up again, there was a forced smile in his eyes as he said, I got sunburned, and now I'm in a bad mood. Su Muxue always cared about his appearance. He's been good looking since he was little, so I believed him. Feeling a bit helpless, I opened my mouth, but all I said was, so that's why. Come on, I'll help you apply some ointment. I'd already bought the ointment for him on the way home. That's when Su Muxue noticed. I was carrying a plastic bag in my hand, with a box of ointment inside. Su Muxue's heart skipped a beat. In a quiet, elegant voice, he asked, You bought it just for me? I shook the bag a little. Who else? You think I needs sunburn ointment? I didn't spend the whole afternoon under the sun. In the room, Su Muxue came out of the shower and sat obediently at the edge of the bed. I pulled up a chair and sat in front of him, carefully applying the ointment. I was half a head taller than Su Muxue, with me pressing down and applying medicine. Su Muxue looked straight at me without turning his gaze. I moved gently, and my eyes were focused. It felt like I really cared about him. Thinking about the photo he saw earlier, Su Muxue's gaze dimmed for a moment, and without realizing it, he spoke his mind. Are you and Mangbing dating? He asked casually as I was applying the ointment. As if it were just small talk. I paused for a second. What did you say? Me and Mangbing, dating. There was obvious confusion and curiosity in my eyes. Su Muxue's heart, silent all afternoon, suddenly stirred. A sliver of hope bloomed inside him. He asked again, So you're not dating? I quickly replied, Of course not. But why would Su Muxue think that? I never told him that I went out to meet Mangbing today. Did he follow me? I looked at him suspiciously. For a second, it was like Su Muxue's secret was exposed. Feeling guilty, he said, I was just asking. You don't need to take it seriously. I finally understood why he looked so upset earlier. He misunderstood things between me and Mangbing. He was jealous. I looked down to hide the smile tugging at my lips, and gave him some reassurance. No, I'm just friends with Mangbing. We will never be a couple. I was teasing him, but I didn't want to upset him. Even more, I didn't want him to feel sad. That one line, we'll never be a couple, completely cleared up the gloom Su Muxue had felt all afternoon. Such a definite statement. It must mean I didn't like Mangbing. Everything became clear. He couldn't hide the smile in his eyes, not wanting to let it show. Su Muxue used all his willpower to keep a straight face, and said faintly, Oh, I think Mang Bing is pretty good looking, though. So, why could you two never be a couple? Clearly saying one thing but meaning another. I couldn't be bothered to call him out, so I casually asked, by the way, why did you suddenly ask about me and Mang Bing? Did someone say something to you? Su Muxue didn't hide it. He said Song Mengming sent him some photos. I asked Su Muxue to show me the pictures. Seeing those intimate photos again. Su Muxue got upset again. It was all others gossiping. I deleted them. He didn't want to keep those to photos at all. I glanced at the pictures. Some people really have too much time on their hands. All thanks to Song Mengming. I finally found out where the photos came from. As if I couldn't see through Li Chenggen's little scheme. Saying he was blessing me and Mang Bing. He just wanted to accidentally leak the photos. To let Su Muxue see them, that's all. Su Muxue saw that I kept smiling. As if I didn't mind at all. But that little seed of care suddenly jumped out from his heart. He said sourly, you two seem really close. In the game you stood up for him. In real life, you played that match against Class 79 for him. You're always worried about him too. Su Muxue suddenly looked a little defeated. Then he thought, what does it matter who Ji Yu-chung gets close to? They're not even a couple. He frowned in frustration. I watched the slight changes in his expression and understood immediately he was jealous. I said slowly and calmly, am I? I only have a few friends in this life. As for the opposite sex besides Mang Bing, there's just Song Mengmeng and the others. And you, if we're talking about who I'm close to, it's you and Mang Bing. When he heard Mang Bing again, Su Muxue's face darkened even more. So in your eyes, me and Mang Bing are the same to you? He clearly didn't want to reveal what he was thinking. But he couldn't control his mouth or his heart. Right after saying that, Su Muxue wanted to slap himself. I looked at his sulky face with a curved smile. How come I never realized back in school? Su Muxue could actually be this cute. I couldn't help but tease him. You're different. Sure enough, he straightened up instantly, eagerly asking, how am I different? Then he seemed to realize he might have exposed his feelings. And quickly coughed to cover it up. He forced an explanation, neck pain. Sitting straight feels better. I didn't say anything else. Just calmly packed up my things. Right before I stepped out of his room. Su Muxue couldn't hold it in and called out, hey, you? You didn't finish what you said. What do you mean different? How are me and Mang Bing different? I stopped in my tracks. When I turned back, my eyes were shining. Su Muxue suddenly understood what it meant to be moved. He was captivated by that bright, cheerful smile. In a daze, he seemed to hear me say, you're different. I'm leaving. Su Muxue sat blankly in front of the computer, playing games. The smile on his face was kind of silly, and the hero in the game was even sillier, charging in recklessly and getting killed repeatedly. He was different, not different from Mang Bing. He was just different. The midterm exam results came out today. Su Muxue was worried I didn't do well. On the way to school, he kept trying to comfort me. Seeing I wasn't saying anything, Su Muxue couldn't help but look at me. Ji Yu-cheng, I've said so much to you. Are you even listening? I softly replied, I heard you. But Su Muxue always felt like when I talked to him, I was always being overly gentle. His ears started to turn red again. Don't just say you heard me. If you heard it, take it to heart. When the results come out, don't go crying. No getting upset. I muttered under my breath, so bossy. Su Muxue couldn't hide the smile in his eyes, but his mouth stayed stubborn as ever. You already see me as a friend. Friends caring about each other is totally normal. How's that, bossy? As he finished speaking, we arrived at school. Su Muxue parked his bike. I had bought breakfast. I peeled a tea egg and held it up to his mouth. Here, take it. That was definitely a bit too intimate. Su Muxue tried his best to suppress the smile tugging at his lips, but the corners of his mouth wouldn't listen. They kept turning up, as if trying to reach the sun. He awkwardly smiled while reaching for the egg, but still muttered, I usually don't eat tea eggs. I was speechless. So tsundere. I twisted my hand away. Then I'll give it to Song Mengmeng. He watched helplessly as the egg was moved away from his face. Su Muxue panicked, afraid I'd actually give it to Song Mengmeng. He quickly opened his mouth and bit into the tea egg in my hand. I didn't even react yet. He sucked in the whole egg in one go, chewed hard, and swallowed it quickly. His eyes rolled back from the effort, but he still managed to say, I forgot that recently. I suddenly started liking the taste of tea eggs. The egg was snatched just a few seconds ago. Only a few seconds had passed. I was stunned by Su Muxue's action. Watching him choking, I quickly handed him my water bottle. Here, have some water first. Su Muxue was really choking. He couldn't care less. Grabbed the bottle and gulped down the water. After drinking, Su Muxue realized he used my cup that I normally drink from, and I had just drunk from it on the way. So, was that an indirect kiss? His gaze instinctively fell to my lips. By the time he came back to his senses, he was already leaning close to my lips. At a distance as close as a breath, Su Muxue suddenly trembled nervously. His eyes were dodging. He wanted to say something, but nothing came out. He could only swallow nervously and mechanically. He knew he was being impulsive, and that his current posture was too ambiguous, too easily misunderstood. He didn't know how to explain his impulse. While he was panicking, my lips moved slightly. A deep voice reached his ears. Su Muxue. That voice was soft and magnetic, and instantly made his ears turn red. The voice was incredibly low. What are you trying to say? He was nervously anticipating. You're standing too close. Su Muxue froze in an instant. He looked at me blankly. What did you just say? I noticed Su Muxue blushing from his ears down to his neck. I knew he was shy. A mischievous smile appeared in my eyes. I reached out a firm arm, placed my palm on his shoulder, then slowly pushed him away bit by bit. I said, "You're standing too close, doctor." After pushing Su Muxue away, I walked toward the school, avoiding him, leaving Su Muxue standing foolishly in place. The girl had a slim waist and long legs, exuding elegance and grace, but right now, she looked like a silly girl from a rich family. Without saying a single word, he stood there dazed for a few minutes, before Su Muxue finally snapped out of it, ashamed of his impulsiveness, as if a ghost were chasing him. He ran towards the classroom in a panic. While running, he hurriedly put on his mask. Thinking back on my reaction, Su Muxue blushed and his heart raced, torn with emotions. What did Gu Chen really mean? Did he really not notice his feelings? Or did he notice, but pretended not to because he didn't like him? Su Muxue and I entered the classroom one after the other. Some guys in class greeted me with smiles. I politely returned the greetings, because I was good looking whenever I showed up at school. I was always the most eye-catching one in the crowd. So Li Chengqing spotted me instantly, as I walked in from outside. After I sat down, he came over to collect homework, casually started chatting with me. Gu Chen, I saw you at the milk tea shop the other day, with the school beauty you like. You'd really looked like a good match. Just as Li Chengqing said this, Su Muxue walked into the classroom. The girl was tall with long legs. Wearing a mask, she looked colder than usual. I glanced at Su Muxue as she entered, then looked at Li Chengqing's gossipy expression, and suddenly burst into a smile. Looking him in the eye, I said clearly, Li Chengqing, I heard from Song Meng that you took photos of me and Meng Bin and posted them on your moments, without my permission. You uploaded my photos to the internet. Do you even realize that what you did is an infringement of my image rights? If I pursue this legally, you'll be held responsible. I was still smiling as I said all this, and my tone was very calm. But the calmer I was, the more uneasy Li Chengqing felt. He was just a student. He didn't understand all these complicated things. Thinking about how my family could arrange a childhood betrothal with Su Muxue, Li Chengqing suddenly panicked. He had just opened his mouth when I smiled brightly, cutting off his panicked explanation, and calmly said, We're all classmates after all. I won't make a fuss over something so small. I just hope that, from now on, you don't do things that bother others like this. Meng Bin and I are just friends. So please don't casually post other people's photos online. Thank you. The whole speech was calm and reasonable, gracious and poised, without sounding overly aggressive. Instead, it made Li Chengqing look very out of line. Li Chengqing's face turned red. Thanks, it won't happen again. He hurried back to his seat after collecting the homework. Li Yu gave him a glance, and Li Chengqing seemed to find someone to vent to. He rolled his eyes and grumbled. What's wrong with Gu Chen anyway? I just took a photo. It's not like I did anything extreme. And he brings it up in front of the whole class. So petty. Li Yu glanced at him but said nothing. A student sitting in front couldn't hold back and turned around, impatiently scolding Li Chengying. Can you just stop already? You didn't even ask for consent. Took someone's photo and posted it on Moments. They were generous enough not to hold it against you. Just reminded you not to do it again. And even said it with a smile. How is that petty? I think asterisk you're asterisk the petty one. After speaking, the student turned back around, letting out a snort through their nose. Li Chengying was instantly rendered speechless. His whole face turned red. He lowered his head, not daring to say another word. I didn't even bother to care about that little episode. But Su Muxue suddenly blurted out beside me. You and Mengbin, there's really no possibility at all. The curiosity in his eyes was impossible to hide. I leaned my head on my right hand, raised my eyebrows and smiled. You want there to be? Su Muxue's heart pounded like a drum, afraid his feelings would be exposed. He turned his head instantly, but with a flushed face, he looked at the blackboard and calmly said, No, I was just curious, that's all. Wanted to remind you that studying is more important. What it's sooner? I chuckled and said, You're right. Studying is important right now, but after the college entrance exam, it won't matter. Just a few simple words. They didn't sound threatening at all, just like an ordinary conversation. Yet they made Su Muxue tense up instantly. What do you mean after the exam it won't matter? Didn't you say you and Mengbin could only ever be friends? What does this mean? He opened his mouth and suddenly started lecturing me about the importance of studying. So I said, the turning point of life isn't just the college entrance exam. University is just as important. Don't be so short-sighted. If you don't do well in university, it's like acing the exam for nothing. Dating really affects your studies. You'd better not follow those bad examples. Besides, your current academic performance still needs improvement, especially at this critical review stage. Stop thinking about all those pointless things. Su Muxue nervously rattled off a long string of warnings. I just propped my head on my hand, looking at him with a half-smile, silently admiring his beautiful features. After hearing him out, I yawned lazily and casually said, Su Muxue, you talk too much. Su Muxue was once again speechless. He talks too much. Gu Chen actually said he talks too much. And who was it for? He only said all that because he was worried Gu Chen wouldn't focus on studying. Compared to his frustration, I was in an incredibly good mood, smiling all through morning reading, as if there really were gold hidden in the books. I couldn't put them down. Soon, our homeroom teacher Su Min arrived to announce the monthly exam results. Before revealing the grade rankings, Su Min first announced the class rankings. This was the elite class of the school, so the class ranking was almost equal to the grade ranking. It was time to announce the results. Everyone's faces were serious, extremely tense. No one dared to hope for anything, because the exam was too difficult. Scores were definitely worse than before. Su Min didn't call out names. She directly posted the class ranking list on the wall. Everyone was itching with curiosity. As soon as class ended, they rushed to the front to check the rankings. Su Muxue was always first place, so he didn't care much about monthly exam scores, because he was used to it. But he cared about my grades. So Miss Su stretched her long legs and squeezed into the crowd. Song Meng followed behind. I went to the bathroom. The test was really hard this time. Everyone's total scores dropped significantly. I was a transfer student from another city, and they were worried I couldn't keep up. Su Muxue and Song Meng started looking from the bottom of the list until they found my name and the corresponding rank. Whoa, Song Meng's eyes widened. That's amazing. Gu Chen actually got 11th place. And this is class 1 of Jinshailan High. Every student in this class already has one foot in a top university. For me to get 11th in my first month after transferring, even if I didn't make it into the top 10, it was still worthy of admiration. Su Muxue was unhappy with how concerned Song Meng was for me. He frowned slightly. But when he saw my score, surprise turned into a smile he couldn't hide. Not bad, he said. Song Meng's loud exclamation was heard by the entire class. Everyone looked shocked and surprised, except for Li Chengying, who was displeased, maybe trying to save face. After I called him out that morning, he said sourly, didn't he boast about making top 10? Still didn't do it though. Just full of hot air. The students around him immediately turned to look, their eyes full of disbelief like saying, what's wrong with you, dude? Are you mentally ill? Is the gap between top 10 and 11th place really that big? That you need to be so petty about it? Look at your own rank first. Then maybe you can talk, okay? Li Chengyin felt the stares from everyone around him, sensed something was off, and remembered his own score. He slipped out sheepishly. Everyone thought I'd be somewhere in the middle and might just pass as a science teacher. But after the test papers were handed out, I got 150 in math. There were only two perfect scores in the class. One was Su Muxue, and the other was me. English, 149. Physics, full marks. Chemistry, full marks. Biology, just 2 points short of full. Everyone was stunned. Su Muxue and Song Mengmeng both had looks of disbelief on their faces. Except for Chinese. I was nearly full marks in every subject. This test was much harder than the usual ones. And I still managed to score like that. Song Mengmeng was practically shocked, speechless. The whole class felt the same way. All thinking, damn. Right then, everyone looked at me, with such complicated emotions in their eyes, as if saying, "You're amazing." And also, "What a shame you're so weak in one subject." Su Muxue got full marks in everything except Chinese. After the papers were handed back, he looked at my paper and noticed the points I lost were all from basic formula-based questions, the type that practically gave you points for free. He couldn't help but wonder, did I forget the formulas and lose points because of that? I failed Chinese. Everyone assumed I was just weak in that subject. Even Su Muxue thought so. So he didn't want to hurt my pride, and didn't even look at my Chinese test until the Chinese teacher returned the papers in class and questioned me why didn't I write an essay. The essay was worth 60 points. Even without writing it, I still got 11th in the class. I replied that I was late. There just wasn't enough time. From then on, no one dared to underestimate me. This wasn't just mid-tier. It was clearly a top student who got careless. After learning my scores, Li felt ashamed for his earlier resentment. He had thought that I only got into class 1 through connections, and secretly looked down on me. While everyone was still shocked and envious, I kept my head down, focused and humble. Su Muxue suddenly realized I was excellent. Truly excellent. So good that there's no way romance could affect my grades. He suddenly got anxious, his heart scratching like a cat's claw. After school, Su Muxue and I ran into Lin Haoshan. Lin Haoshan came to thank me. Hearing our conversation, Su Muxue finally understood that I was late for the monthly exam because of Lin Haoshan that day. I enjoy sharing my insights and commentary on games. On Waybo, I'm a small influencer with over 100,000 followers. My handle is Morning Light every day. Today, I didn't share any game content. Instead, I talked about something emotional. I said I liked a girl, and she liked me too. But she's so tsundere. She just won't admit she likes me. Su Muxue had always felt that Morning Light every day shared the same insights about games as he did, and always gave him lots of inspiration. So he had marked me as a favorite account. When he saw my latest post, Su Muxue called the girl a heartless player. They had chatted privately before, mainly about innovation in gaming. So there was some rapport. So Su Muxue messaged Morning Light every day privately. That girl's a total heartbreaker. Don't be too sad. I suddenly received a DM from the best in the world, and blinked in surprise. Even the best in the world cares about relationship issues. When I chatted with world's #1 for the first time, he said he was 40 years old. I quickly explained to him, it's not what you think. She's not a player, just too shy and proud to admit it. After all, she made a bold declaration in front of her bestie and me, that she'd streak if she ended up liking me. Su Muxue thought this young man was about to get played, but he felt he had already said enough. No need to say more. Then it occurred to him, maybe the situation wasn't necessarily about being a player. Wasn't he the same, liking someone but not admitting it? Both lost souls in the same world. Men tend to understand men better. So he casually asked, can I ask you something? I had a big question mark in my mind. He didn't reply for a long while. Then I finally got his question. If you like a guy, but he only sees you as a friend, and you don't want to break that fragile balance, what should you do? I replied in confusion. If you like him, just tell him. Say it out loud. Why be afraid of breaking that paper window? If you don't say it, he'll never know. Su Muxue felt a bit gloomy. He just didn't have the guts to say it, let alone all the bold talk in front of his besties. He had also said a lot in front of Gu Chen. What's more, Gu Chen now only sees him as a friend. If he confessed and got rejected, even the chance of being close would be gone. No shot at getting near. So Su Muxue subtly asked, "Is there a way?" Not to say it directly, but still let him see that I like him? I was stunned. He's really repressed. So, hesitant, totally unlike a woman. I casually copied an answer from Jihu and sent it to him. Then just be good to him. Care most when he's hurting. Talk to him often. Help him with various problems in daily life. Avoid talking about feelings. Let it work subtly. Make him unable to leave you because of your kindness. Until he confesses to you first, or until you sense he likes you and then you confess. Su Muxue carefully read it over and over again, and found it very enlightening. He felt this was the most effective method for now. The other person had helped him so much. Su Muxue felt he should return the favor. Thinking carefully about Cheng Wang Mishan, the woman he liked was very likely a player. After all, there aren't many pure-hearted women like him left. That person is definitely emotionally fickle, still wavering. So she neither refuses nor admits. He sent a piece of advice to Cheng Wang Mishan. Thank you, but still just one thing. There are plenty of good women out there. Don't be obsessed. The girl you like is very likely a player. I replied after getting the message, thanks. Even though he meant well. I didn't like hearing people speak badly of Su Muxue, so I exited Waybo. And didn't continue the conversation. Su Muxue had said all he wanted to say. Seeing the other person didn't want to talk more, he also exited Waybo. Lying on the bed, he frowned and wondered how to treat Gu Chen well. Wait a second. Su Muxue suddenly snapped awake. No, this isn't right. Why is he trying to please Gu Chen? He's not planning to be with him anyway. Su Muxue, wake up. You only see Gu Chen as a friend. Meanwhile, I was thinking, how to seduce this little Su Muxue so that he confesses to me first. With enough grief and longing, I like morning runs. And so does Su Muxue. But almost every time, he's more drenched than I am. By the time he's ready to run, I've already finished. The day before, Su Muxue had resolved not to talk about feelings with me. But today he got up early, planning to make me breakfast himself. After my morning run, I saw smoke filling the kitchen. The housemaid was shouting "Miss" from the side. How about I do it instead? Su Muxue was tearing up from the smoke, coughing while still stir-frying. These chili peppers are so pungent. The people of Bikang really like strong flavors. I had just finished my run. The towel was still around my neck. I stood at the kitchen doorway and smiled, calling out, "Su Muxue, what are you doing?" Su Muxue, still coughing, looked up from the smoke and saw me, all sweaty, standing in the doorway. I was wearing a sleeveless shirt, my muscles toned and defined. Su Muxue suddenly felt the urge to get a nosebleed. He turned his head quickly, his ears burning red, like they'd been steamed by the smoke. "I'm making breakfast." As he spoke, another puff of smoke got into his mouth, making him cough uncontrollably. Suddenly, the clean scent of laundry detergent wafted over. Slender fingers pressed the range hood button. The exhaust fan started working, pulling away the smoke. I turned off the stove too. My fingertips brushed the back of his hand. I held the handle of the frying pan. "What do you want to eat? I'll make it." Su Muxue's fingertips trembled slightly. He pulled his hand back. The back of his hand where I had touched felt like it suddenly started burning. The exhaust fan roared steadily. Su Muxue stepped aside, making room for me. I lowered my head and cooked, revealing a defined and sexy jawline. So attractive. Su Muxue clutched his chest. Oh no, this must be what a crush feels like. Afraid I'd hear his wildly beating heart. He took another step back. In the Most Beautiful Princesses group chat, Yang Yuji sent a message. "Our hot spring resort has opened. Anyone interested, ladies?" Hot spring resort? Su Muxue looked up at me. Maybe this is a chance to do something nice for Gu Chen and show off a little too. The hot spring resort owned by Yang Yuji's family is excellent. Besides soaking in hot springs, there are also various competitions. Great, it's decided then. He immediately replied to Yang Yuji to confirm. I finished cooking. All the dishes are Su Muxue's favorites. A question popped into Su Muxue's mind. Could it be that Gu Chen likes her? The thought brought her joy. Su Muxue couldn't stop smiling. She casually asked Gu Chen, "Are these dishes all your favorites?" I knew what he was trying to find out, so I played along. Good thing I'm not picky. That glance he gave me made Su Muxue's heart flutter. She asked, "Then why did you cook these dishes?" I replied, "Because you like them." Just one sentence, no further explanation. Straightforward and honest. Su Muxue's heart leapt into her throat. Just as she had suspected, she looked at me expectantly. But I looked calm and composed. Su Muxue lost her confidence. What does it mean exactly? Does he like me or not? Back in my room, I started working on some exam papers. That expectant yet hesitant look on Su Muxue's face just now made me laugh uncontrollably. Such an adorable girl. After finishing two papers, I reviewed for a bit. During a break, I took out my phone intending to play a game. A WeChat message popped up. Yang Yuji's invitation in the group chat was met with responses from the other three. Only then did he realize he said ladies only. He quickly mentioned me too. Of course, I'm going. The weekend came in no time. Su Muxue wore a long white dress, elegant, with a youthful vibe. She waited for me in the first floor living room to go on the trip. How could there be only one guy going? Yang Yuji and Gong Wanru both brought their boyfriends. Song Mengmeng also dragged Liu along. For boys, and for girls, I wore a simple white shirt and black cargo pants. When Su Muxue saw me coming down the stairs, her eyes lit up. She couldn't help but ask, "Is it really okay to go dressed like that?" I smiled and teasingly replied, thinking to myself, even when you're being proud, you're still trying to impress me. Meeting my clear eyes, Su Muxue felt like she was the one with the dirty mind. She quickly looked away, trying not to glance at my exposed muscle lines. Let's get going, then. Yang Yuji and Gong Wanru, along with the guys they brought, were already waiting at the resort. When Su Muxue called to say they were almost there, Yang Yuji immediately went out to meet them. The guy Yang Yuji brought also followed her outside. When they saw us approaching, especially seeing how strikingly handsome I was, the guy suddenly felt a sense of crisis. He couldn't help but ask Yang Yuji, "Who's that guy?" Yang Yuji glanced at him and replied with a smile, "Su Muxue's little darling." The guy instantly relaxed, relieved. Reuniting with Yang Yuji, she gave a brief introduction and led Su Muxue and me inside. For girls, for guys. But there were limited rooms, so Liu and I shared a room. Su Muxue carefully followed the advice from her online friends. She was very attentive and caring toward me, bringing water, offering food. Liu watched Su Muxue help me with everything, while I calmly accepted it all like a little prince. Thinking about the closeness between me and Meng Bing, he felt a little uncomfortable inside. After Su Muxue left, he asked coldly, "Gu Chen, do you like Su Muxue?" I wasn't surprised he asked that, because he liked Su Muxue. I put down the clothes in my hands, turned around and smiled at Liu. "Why do you ask?" Liu looked shy and pure. "I know I have no right to say this, but if you don't like Su Muxue, I hope you won't get too close to her." I asked in return, "Does my closeness to her have any effect on you?" Liu's gaze dimmed a bit. "It doesn't affect me directly. Even if you don't end up with her, there's no chance for me either. It's just that maybe you don't realize how amazing you are. Not many girls can resist your gentle charm. If you don't like Su Muxue, I hope you won't stay too close to her." That sincere wish made me take him seriously. No more half smiles or sarcasm. I looked at Liu earnestly. "I like Su Muxue. I won't play with her feelings. I care about her more than anyone." Liu saw how serious I was, and finally felt at ease. "Wishing you both happiness. Su Muxue treats me differently than others. Maybe that's what they call liking someone." Meanwhile, Su Muxue was sharing a room with Yang Yuji. When Su Muxue came in from outside, Yang Yuji teased her, "Sister Su, how come I never noticed? You were so considerate to guys before?" Su Muxue wasn't bothered by her teasing, but hearing the word considerate made her ears perk up like an antenna. "You think my behavior earlier was considerate?" She couldn't help but smile with a bit of confusion. "Do you think Gu Chen noticed it?" Su Muxue smiled like she was lovesick. Yang Yuji was speechless. Oh, look at that smile. You've totally fallen for him. She leaned in towards Su Muxue with a gossipy grin, as if watching a juicy drama unfold. Su Muxue suddenly remembered. Back then she even said jokingly, she'd streak across the field if she ever fell for Gu Chen. Who said I like him? I was just being nice as a friend. Then came the sound of a knock at the door. The door was ajar. I stood outside the door with my arms crossed. Su Muxue and Yang Yuji both turned their heads to look outside. I leaned sideways against the door frame, smiling slyly as I looked at them. I even waved my hand. Seeing this, Su Muxue and Yang Yuji were speechless. Did he just sell her out? Su Muxue didn't know if I had heard their conversation, and suddenly became extremely nervous. She quickly walked to the door. Why are you here? I could tell she was nervous, so I smiled warmly. But inside, I was holding back laughter. Ganwanru asked everyone to come down and play. So the proud girl only sees me as a friend, huh? Alright, fine. Su Muxue couldn't read between the lines. She thought I might have heard, but wasn't reacting to it. There were 8 of us in total, and it was already late afternoon. Ganwanru suggested we have a barbecue. There would also be a bonfire party later. A self-service outdoor BBQ. Everyone had to prepare their own food. Su Muxue was still hung up on what just happened. She was thinking of doing something to change my impression of her. She decided to grill something for me. But just as she picked up a plate, a few skewers were suddenly placed onto the clean white plate. The guy's hand was slender and well-proportioned. Su Muxue's heart skipped a beat. She stared at me in a daze. I smiled at her. Here, for you to eat, she dumbly asked. For me. I nodded at her. Who else would it be for? Su Muxue glanced around deliberately. I had only grilled for her. Because of our little interaction, Liang Yuji and Song Mengmeng started making teasing noises. Oh, Song Mengmeng even annoyingly held out her plate to me. Jiu-chun, that's not fair. You only grilled for Muxue. I don't care. I want some too. Su Muxue was speechless. Where did this childish one come from? She thought I wouldn't turn her down. After all, I look easy to talk to. Unexpectedly, I helplessly spread my hands. You better take the exam yourself. Su Muxue's heart started beating faster uncontrollably. Her face turned tomato red under everyone's gaze. But the curve of her lips couldn't be hidden. She only grilled for him. To Jiu-chun, did that mean he was special? Among the 8 people here, except for Liu, everyone else was of age, which meant we could drink. Everyone drank beer while eating barbecue. But it didn't feel strong enough. Song Mengmeng suggested truth or dare. Su Muxue wasn't really into this kind of game, but since I was there, he cleared his throat and said let's play. So everyone started a childish spin the bottle game. The first to get picked was Yang Yuji. Yang Yuji shrugged helplessly. Dare. Bring it on. Song Mengmeng pointed to a group of boys next to them and said, run over and tell them I'm a dumbass. Everyone, including Yang Yuji, was speechless. No one expected such a petty dare. Yang Yuji didn't want to do something so stupid, so she just downed 3 drinks to dodge the punishment. Then others started getting picked one by one. Soon, it was Su Muxue's turn. When she saw the bottle pointing at her, Su Muxue looked up at Song Mengmeng with a jolt. Song Mengmeng deliberately gave her the opportunity. She smiled and asked, truth or dare? Su Muxue cared about her image. She would never do something stupid in a dare. Who knows what trick Song Mengmeng would pull? Truth. Seeing Su Muxue acting like she's facing a great enemy, I held back my laughter. As expected, Song Mengmeng's question had a clear target. She asked, is there a guy here you like? Su Muxue widened her eyes and glared at Song Mengmeng. What kind of BS question is that? Among everyone here, she only knew me and Liu. She was in the same class as Liu, but they hardly talked. Wouldn't that be a straight-up confession toward me? Song Mengmeng wasn't afraid of her getting mad at all. Before she could speak, Song said, hey, just to be clear, truth means no drinking. You can't skip it by drinking. You have to answer. Su Muxue was speechless. He turned his head, not daring to look at me. He muttered softly, yes, except for me beside him. No one else heard it. Everyone complained louder. We're not deaf, you know. Su Muxue looked like a shy kid whose secrets were exposed. Hearing their protest, He turned his head and shouted loudly at everyone. No. After yelling, he stared straight ahead, not daring to look at me. That answer was really unexpected. Song Mengmeng, who meant to play matchmaker, was dumbfounded. He panicked. No one expected Su Muxue to be that tsundere. Girl, that won't do. You won't win your crush acting like that. After Su Muxue's turn, the game continued. But Su Muxue's face was bright red, just when she felt her cheeks burning and unbearable. A sudden cold sensation touched her cheek. He looked at me with wide, round eyes. Eyes so innocent and pitiful, like an abandoned kitten. I laughed at that image in my mind. Trying to distract him, I asked, "Drink." Su Muxue got lost in my gentle smile. He dumbly said, then took the bottle and took a big gulp, but choked on it. He started coughing nonstop. Song Mengmeng exclaimed, "Whoa, Gu Chen, you're up." He quickly turned to me. I met Song Mengmeng's gaze and understood she did it on purpose. I gave a helpless smile. Truth. Su Muxue lowered her head in silence, as if she didn't care, but only he knew. He was holding his breath, afraid of missing even a word. Song Mengmeng was just about to ask. Yang Yuji leaned in and whispered in his ear. Gong Wanru also chimed in with ideas. In the end, Yang Yuji asked the question to Gu Chen. Do you have a girl you like? From that question, I realized they were setting up Su Muxue. I never tried to hide my feelings for Su Muxue. These clever ones had figured it out long ago. They asked that question without naming names. Wasn't it just to make Su Muxue anxious? But I liked the move. Except for Su Muxue, everyone else was staring at me. Even the two guys who didn't know, the ones Yang Yuji and Gong Wanru had brought, were curious too. A guy this outstanding surely had no shortage of admirers. Did he really like someone? Under everyone's curious and expectant gaze, I smiled faintly and said, yes. It was a proud answer, as expected. Only Su Muxue froze for a few seconds. Gu Chen said he did. Gu Chen said he did. So who is the girl he likes? Su Muxue felt like her heart was being scratched by cats. But after that, no one asked who it was that I liked. The group just kept eating and drinking. Eventually, night fell. There was a bonfire party at night. Guests could sign up to perform, or just enjoy the show. The resort staff had prepared some performances too. When the third act ended, I walked toward the back of the stage carrying a bag. Song Mengmeng asked curiously, Gu Chen, where are you going? I smiled mysteriously. I'm going to perform for you all. That really surprised everyone. What are you performing? They asked. I replied, you'll see in a bit. Once I left, Su Muxue felt more at ease. But she was dying of curiosity inside. The act I was performing was a drum set solo. When the third performance ended, the host voice was filled with excitement. Now let's welcome our guest, Gu Chen, to perform a drum solo. The moment she heard my name, Su Muxue was like enchanted, her eyes fixed on the stage, unblinking. At the center of the outdoor stage, the curtains pulled open from both sides, all the lights around turned off. Suddenly, a spotlight lit up the center of the stage. The boy sat with a relaxed posture, gripping the drumsticks, head lowered, counting the beats intently. Suddenly, the boy lifted his head. That moment felt like a god descending. It took one's breath away. From the crowd, I immediately spotted Su Muxue. I gave a soft smile, then began playing. The rhythm was classic and rich. I nodded along with it. Su Muxue stared at me on stage, completely entranced. Every glance of mine from the stage seemed like I was smiling at him. But he knew that wasn't true. It was just a natural expression during performance. That smile was meant for the whole audience. Su Muxue's brows suddenly furrowed, because tourists nearby were gasping in awe at how cool I looked. Su Muxue felt a sudden wave of annoyance. It was like something that belonged to him was being coveted by others. The song ended. It stirred ripples in many people's hearts. I changed out of costume and returned to the crowd. Song Mengmeng and Yang Yuji praised me sincerely. You played so well. Thanks. Su Muxue didn't say a word. His dark eyes just stared at me. I gave him a beaming smile. Su Muxue, what did you think of my performance? Su Muxue thought of those women's praises for me earlier and turned his face away, huffing. It was average. Everyone around was speechless. You call asterisk that asterisk average? I didn't mind and let them continue watching the show. I hadn't been drinking beer earlier, but thinking of Su Muxue's tsundere attitude, I got the idea to tease him a little. So I clinked glasses with Song Meng Meng and Yang Yuji and had a few drinks. Su Muxue wanted to stop me, but then thought a few beers wouldn't hurt. But after my third drink, I leaned on his shoulder, completely drunk. Su Muxue was at a loss for words. Because of the alcohol, Liu and I were assigned the same room. Su Muxue originally wanted to ask Liu to take me there. But just as he opened his mouth, Song Meng Meng said to Liu, "Come with me to get a bottle of water." I don't dare go alone. Liu looked at Su Muxue, then glanced at Song Meng Meng. He knew what she meant, even though he felt a little down inside. He didn't say no. Song Meng Meng got up and left with him. Left with no choice, Su Muxue had to take me himself. I was drunk. Su Muxue had to half support me. One hand held my arm, the other wrapped around my waist. The two of us made it up to the third floor. I leaned into Su Muxue, then chuckled in his arms. So innocent. Once in the room, I suddenly let out a small, uncomfortable groan, with the boy I liked right beside me. Su Muxue was so nervous he started sweating. Hearing my groan, Su Muxue became extremely flustered. "What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?" I didn't respond, nor did I wake up. Instead, I turned around in his arms. Su Muxue had been supporting me from the side. Now we were face to face, and I wrapped my arms around his waist. Such an awkward position. Su Muxue's heart was pounding like crazy. I tilted my head, sleepily leaning on his shoulder, not feeling good. Su Muxue's back pressed tightly against the wall, his whole body stiff like steel. Where exactly doesn't feel good? I drunkenly lowered my head and looked at him, then leaned in closer. Su Muxue's breath caught from nervousness. I didn't kiss him. My finger pressed against his lips. "Su Muxue, why are your lips swollen?" The moment I got close to him, Su Muxue even forgot how to breathe. He stared at me in a daze, mesmerized. Maybe it was the alcohol. His handsome face darkened with confusion. He seemed a little flustered. I pressed a finger to Su Muxue's lips. Seeing him freeze nervously, I deliberately leaned in closer. I exhaled by his ear, my voice husky. "Su Muxue, I'm hot." Su Muxue couldn't believe it. How could someone always tug at his heart like this? He almost couldn't stand straight. His face flushed deep red. His hands hovered awkwardly around my waist, his back pressed to the cold wall. Su Muxue remembered what I said earlier during the game. It left a knot in his heart. He gently tested me, coaxing, "Gu Chen, do you know who I am?" I buried my face in his neck crook, acting dazed. "What are you saying?" Seeing I really seemed drunk, Su Muxue breathed a sigh of relief. He quietly asked, "Can you tell me, who do you like?" I mumbled, "Su Muxue." His eyes lit up instantly. He looked at me overjoyed, but the next second, I said on purpose, "Su Muxue, where are you? Help me with my homework." His excited expression froze, looking at me with uncertainty. His burst of joy deflated like a leaking balloon, all gone in an instant. He muttered gloomily, "What did you say?" I let out a muffled hum, saying nothing. In fact, I was trying hard not to laugh, afraid I'd give myself away. Su Muxue was beyond frustrated. He half supported me onto the bed. I was a little surprised too, but since I was drunk now, I couldn't react at all. So I just kept my eyes shut, pretending to sleep. I wanted to see how Su Muxue would react. I secretly opened one eye a crack. Su Muxue looked like he'd gone dumb, just staring at me in a daze. After a while, his face flushed bright red. Even his neck turned red. His beautiful eyes widened in shock. He stared at me blankly. His thick black eyelashes fluttered a few times. Suddenly, Su Muxue suddenly stood straight and ran out. I realized he was shy. I couldn't help but laugh. I was in a great mood. Not long after, I actually fell asleep. But Su Muxue, who ran out, couldn't sleep the whole night. The next day, we had planned to play a shooting game together. When I saw Su Muxue again, he had returned to his cold and tsundere self. His beauty and figure drew unwanted attention. While we waited in the lobby, several guys had already approached him, Each time someone tried to flirt, Su Muxue would frown first, then glance at me instinctively, seeing my expression unchanged, showing no signs of jealousy. Su Muxue became irritated. He coldly rejected the guys. The guys followed his line of sight, and upon seeing my striking looks, they immediately gave up the chase. After they left, Gong Wanru and Song Mengmeng finally showed up, fashionably late. The resort was quite large, so we chose to take the sightseeing gondola to the shooting range. Su Muxue and I sat in the very last row. He sat right next to me, his pretty face a bit tense. He touched his hair, then casually said, "You were drunk last night." Knowing exactly what he was trying to do, I purposely avoided falling into his trap. Gu Chen replied, "My alcohol tolerance is low. It was my first time drinking. I heard from Liu that you were the one who took me back. Thank you." Su Muxue, you're truly beautiful and kind. Being complimented by me made Su Muxue happy, so he didn't continue probing. He turned to look out at the scenery. His slender index finger, when did it touch his lips? Even he didn't know. They arrived at the shooting range. Su Muxue suggested having a competition. Liu frowned and said awkwardly, "I don't know how to shoot arrows." Song Mengmeng and Yang Yuji exchanged looks and whispered, "That's easy. Let's divide into teams. One boy with one girl. Each person gets 10 shots. The team with the highest total score wins a prize. A year of free access to the resort." Su Muxue didn't care much about the prize, but in front of the person she liked, her competitive spirit reached a peak. She wanted to compete with me, but was too shy to say it directly. She waited for someone else to bring it up. In her mind, Liang Yuji and Gong Wanru would definitely pick the guys they brought, and Song Mengmeng would choose Liu. After all, Liu was with her. As expected, Yang Yuji and Gong Wanru chose the guys they brought. I saw Su Muxue looking around, but not saying a word. I teased her on purpose and loudly called out to Song Mengmeng, "Song Mengmeng." She was stunned for a second, then ran toward me with a big smile. Su Muxue, who had been putting on a cold face, lost her composure. She frowned, looking at Song Mengmeng running over cheerfully. She had never found her so annoying before. I suddenly turned to look at Su Muxue. Her distorted expression hadn't recovered yet. She awkwardly said, "What's wrong?" Su Muxue forced a smile, then pretended to be generous and asked, "Do you want to team up with Song Mengmeng? If you do, I can go tell her for you." Just then, Song Mengmeng ran up to me. "Jiu Cheng, what's up?" Su Muxue's beautiful eyes were full of hostility. Song Mengmeng noticed the vibe and laughed, saying to Su Muxue, "Why are you glaring at me?" Su Muxue didn't expect Song Mengmeng to call her out like that, and immediately felt embarrassed. She proudly lifted her chin and said, "Who's glaring at you? You're imagining things." Though her chin was raised, her eyes kept glancing at me and Song Mengmeng. I took out a phone from my bag. It was Song Mengmeng's phone. Su Muxue lost her composure. Her mind was racing. Why does Jiu Cheng have Song Mengmeng's phone? What's their relationship? Su Muxue felt her heart in her throat. Jealousy was about to erupt. I handed the phone to Song Mengmeng. "Here. Your phone. You dropped it just now." Song Mengmeng took it. I thought something was missing. "Thanks." "Thank you." Su Muxue's face turned bright red. It flushed visibly in an instant. Song Mengmeng teamed up with Liu. Naturally, Su Muxue teamed up with me. I was a bit disappointed. This little thing didn't even try to fight for it. She's such a tsundere. The other 3 guys all said they had no experience with shooting. I stayed silent, so Su Muxue just assumed I didn't know either. She picked up a shooting gun and said to me, "I'll teach you." The gun was loaded with paintballs. Hearing that Su Muxue would teach me, I smiled but didn't say I already knew how. Though she was teaching me, Su Muxue glanced over at her 3 besties. She was shocked by how close they were to the guys. She thought it was overly intimate. Su Muxue stood beside me, leaning in to guide me. "Hold the gun first. Keep your hand level." I followed her instructions. One command, one action. Su Muxue helped me aim, then adjusted my stance. Seeing her ears turn red, I got the urge to pinch them. So I spoke up on purpose. Su Muxue, I can't see like this. It was a hot day. My voice was right next to her ear, and it rippled straight into her heart. Su Muxue suddenly felt dry-mouthed. She instantly straightened up. She stiffly moved behind me, her body pressed against my back. She placed her hands on mine and awkwardly said, Then I'll teach you like this. I leaned back, getting closer to Su Muxue. Come on, teach me. Look, they've already taken several shots. Su Muxue stiffly raised her hands and held both of my hands that were gripping the gun. She leaned forward slightly. Can you see the bullseye up ahead? I calmly replied, Yes, I see it. But Su Muxue suddenly stepped back and started stammering. Then. Go ahead and pull the trigger. Her sudden stammer caught me off guard. I turned to her in confusion. What's wrong with you? She stammered again. Nothing. My gaze made Su Muxue's heart beat wildly out of sync. She clutched her chest, not daring to get close again. While Su Muxue was feeling awkward, the other 3 groups had already started shooting. I heard the sounds of shots firing from nearby. Knowing that Su Muxue was shy, I stopped staring at her and turned to watch how the other groups were doing. My eyesight is sharp. I immediately saw the scores of the other 3 guys. They were pretty miserable. After all, none of them had played shooting games before. But my glance made Su Muxue misunderstand. She thought I was also worried about my skills. Being a proud guy, she cared about face, even though she was shy. Su Muxue came up behind me again. She grabbed both of my hands and instructed, raise it a little higher. I froze for a second. His presence completely surrounded me, though Su Muxue was a tsundere during her youth. She also had a pure and considerate side. I nodded slightly, thank you. In Su Muxue's eyes, I was a gentle and polite boy. He didn't like how distant I was toward him, but he couldn't help falling for my soft voice. There was a hint of delusion. Su Muxue's tone suddenly softened. Who told you to be so dumb? Song Mengmeng couldn't take it anymore. She spoke up, Muxue, we're in a competition right now. If you're going to teach like that, you might as well just do it yourself. The others only taught their teammates the technique, then stepped aside and let the guys shoot. But not Su Muxue. She went hands-on directly. Even helped aim. That's totally cheating. Isn't that just unfair? Gangwanru teased warmly, Muxue, you're clearly not here for the competition. Yang Yuji added with mock frustration. You obviously just want to take advantage of our handsome Jiu. Su Muxue already felt guilty. After the 3 of them teased her like that, she immediately became embarrassed and angry. She was so mad she wanted to beat all 3 of them up. But she was also afraid they'd figure out her feelings for me. Su Muxue quickly let go, moved to the side and shouted at the 3 of them, You 3 talk too much. Can you stop gossiping so much? While they were bickering, the other 3 boys finished their 10 shots. Song Mengmeng ran to the targets to report scores. There are 10 rings on the target board. The very center scores 10 points, and the further out, the fewer the points. From the center outward, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and so on. The outermost ring is worth 1 point. Liu scored a bit higher in his first round, 30 points total with only 2 misses. The remaining 8 hit the outer rings. The boys brought by Gangwanru and Yang Yuji didn't do so well. It was their first time, after all. They did pretty badly. They missed at least 6 out of 10 shots. Even the ones that hit were on the outer rings. The boy brought by Yang Yuji scored 3 points. The one brought by Gangwanru scored 10 points. Yang Yuji covered her face, too embarrassed to look. Both boys looked embarrassed. Only Liu had a stone-cold expression. He was expressionless. Of the 4 boys, I was the only one who hadn't fired my shots yet. Still had all my bullets. At that moment, 7 pairs of eyes were staring straight at me. Su Muxue didn't like that everyone was watching me. She was worried I'd feel pressured. She awkwardly reminded me, it's just for fun. Don't take it too seriously. Just shoot casually. Leave the competition to me. I really enjoy seeing Su Muxue being awkward. She looks especially cute. I couldn't help but smile. I gave Su Muxue a confident grin. Don't worry. Then I slowly raised both hands, aiming at the bullseye. Su Muxue. The 4 of them were instantly shocked by my textbook shooting stance. They were stunned. I fired all 10 bullets in a row. Each shot hit the center. No hesitation in my movements at all. My skill left them speechless. Everyone was completely stunned. It took them a while to snap out of it. Song Mengmeng suddenly shouted, "Gu Chen, that was awesome. A perfect score." Yang Yuji and Gong Wanru looked at each other. Both of them were shocked. That was insane. Even among them, none could manage such a flawless result. Only Su Muxue could occasionally get a perfect score. But I just did it on my very first try.